thedailymass.com. Experience the Roman Catholic Mass from historic St. Louis Cathedral every day on thedailymass.com. His love, anywhere in the world.
Good evening. I'm Sarah McDonald.
And I'm Jay Stangelet. Welcome to Issues in Faith.
Well, we're off the heels of Mother's Day.
Yes.
And you have...
Yes, so we had a very special announcement that we kind of let out the bag a little earlier than Mother's Day. We were waiting for Mother's Day. We just couldn't hold it in. We took some pictures at the ultrasound. We were expecting our next child, and we told the kids we had a special treat for them. We put the images on the television, and you could see the heartbeat. And Belle and Sophia and Jude and Naomi, who's 2, she's still
figuring it out.
Yeah, she's figuring it out. But Bella, right away, she saw it, and they just, it was as if like we told them we were going to Disney World. Like the kids just started erupting with excitement, and it was just so awesome to see that from them, and then we're just so excited to have another blessing in the family. So.
It's true, and every child is a blessing.
Without a doubt, it's a challenge, but it's, I mean, marriage and family, that's what it's all about. So.
And I'm one of 5. I'm the oldest of 5, so tell Bella if she ever needs anything.
Yes, I sure will.
She can call me. I'll be happy to help her out with being the oldest of 5. Yeah. But it's so wonderful, and it's truly a testament to you and Elise that the kids were so excited to hear that another sibling was coming into the family. Yeah. Is Jude hoping for a little brother this time?
Oh yes, I think that was his first request, was it's going to be a boy. And I'm like, well, it doesn't kind of work like that. We kind of can't put our request in. We just, whatever God blesses us with, that's what we're going to have. So
bless us with a healthy baby.
Yes, exactly right.
Well, congratulations,
Praise
Jason.
God.
And we'll be with
so
you and Elise in prayer through
please.
this journey, and continue to keep us updated on that.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Well, we do have some news items, but before we get to those, I want to talk a little bit about some of the concerns that have come up with the Supreme Court ruling on the State Scholarship for Educational Excellence program last week. The State Scholarship program is also known as the voucher program. The funding mechanism that was put in place by the state legislature last year to expand the program statewide was deemed unconstitutional. We're not allowed to use MFP funding from the Department of Education to fund the scholarship program. The program itself, I'm going to clear that up, is not unconstitutional. The Supreme Court did not touch that issue. They still believe that you may use state or public dollars to fund private or parochial school education.
Because we're not the only place doing that.
We are not the only place doing that. Actually, Indiana and Illinois have very strong and well-established voucher programs in which their funding mechanisms allow for money to actually follow the student wherever they choose to go, whether it's a public school or private school.
And this is a benefit
school.
directly to the children.
To the children.
And to the families.
It truly is, and I think that is one of the stories that's being lost in the political realm and in discussions with adults. And I hate to say that, like obviously you and I are adults.
Yeah, right.
But the people who were most affected by this ruling and by this whole situation are the children and their families. These parents made a very difficult and complicated choice to go through an application process that was less than perfect to get their children into a better environment, one that they felt they would flourish in, and they are flourishing. And we are seeing the results of being able to take children out of environments, school environments that are not good, not conducive to learning, not conducive to any type of human formation, unfortunately, in some instances. See them come into our schools and come out of their shells of being shy, improve behavior, and of course, improved skills on the academic level.
Sure.
I mean, we have children coming in at certain grade levels that read 2 grade levels behind. And our schools are putting resources in to helping those children succeed, and that's not something the scholarship money would provide for. So I want to be very clear that
it's the funding mechanism is what they deemed unconstitutional. So where do we go from here?
Well, the program is technically still in place. The governor has said he's going to put the funding for the 2013-2014 school year into the state budget as a line item, into HB1. The bishops, the Catholic bishops of Louisiana, our Office of Catholic Schools locally, we are going to be working on this very hard to see that this money remains in place. for those children. A lot of people say this is just a ploy by the Catholic schools to keep schools open. It does no good for us to keep schools open if we're not educating children.
Right.
Our schools only exist to serve children and their families. And I was talking about the benefits to the children. We're benefiting the parents too. They are now involved in their children's education. They're involved with the school. They're making friends. They're making relationships. They're improving their lives as well. So this is not a political move by the bishops. This is not a political ploy. This is not a business move to keep schools open.
Again, the people.
We are trying to serve a population that is underserved. And so I'd ask for our viewers to support this, contact your legislators.
Yeah, for sure.
We want to support the funding remain in place. I know that the State Department of Education is working on some things. We don't know how this is going to actually play out. We are in danger, essentially, if the funding is not approved in the budget, of the program going away as soon as this August.
Well, who can they contact directly, like an email, website, person, telephone? Do we know?
At this time, it's really up to the individual person to find out who their state representative and who their state senator are. They can contact them directly. This is the governor's program. The governor is fully supportive of it. It's good for him to know that people are supporting him and behind him. But really, the work lies in the legislature right now. So we need to get out and support the program. We have 2,500 kids who may not be able to return to the school of their choice in the fall.
2,500.
Yes, if this program does not get funded. So, and again, it's an opportunity for us as the Catholic Church through Catholic schools to form hearts and minds. We have the opportunity also to educate people in our faith. That's not the point of the program from the state level, but for us, it's an additional plus. And so we are working very hard and very diligently to make sure that these children succeed on an academic level and succeed as humans.
When they're welcomed into the schools, they're not forced into anything.
No.
They're lovingly welcomed, and they're presented not only the teachings of different subjects, but also the teachings of Christ, and it's a beautiful thing. It's been something that has built this country, and so prayers with everyone.
Thank you very much, and again, contact your legislatures.
Amen.
Well, Pope Francis continues to make headlines with his use of colloquial phrases to make his points in his homilies. Just this week, he said, focusing on self rather than Jesus makes prayer boring. And, quote, Satan always rips us off. Always. The Holy Father uses these analogies to share his thoughts on God's love for us and how we are called to love him through prayer and relationships with one another. To keep updated on Pope Francis's simple but poignant messages, follow him on Twitter @Pontifex or like Catholic News Service on Facebook.
According to Vatican statistics, the number of Catholics in the world and the number of bishops, priests, religious men, and seminarians all increased in 2011, while the number of women in religious orders continued to decline. The agency added that the number of permanent deacons is showing strong expansion globally, but especially in Europe and the Americas. At the end of 2011, the worldwide Catholic population reached 1,214,000,000. It is an increase of 18 million, or 1.5%, slightly outpacing the global population growth rate.
On Saturday, 4 men will be ordained to the transitional diaconate for the Archdiocese of New Orleans. We ask you to join us in prayer for Ian Bozant, Charles DeSoy, Tim Hedrick, and Matthew Johnston as they take one of the final steps towards ordination to the Roman Catholic priesthood. The ordination Mass will be at 10 a.m. this Saturday, May 18th, at St. Louis Cathedral. All are invited to attend, and you can learn more about each of these men on the Archdiocese's Facebook page or in last week's Clarion Herald. Though
the month of May is coming rapidly to a close, you can still take part in the Archdiocese's special social media project to honor our Blessed Mother. We're posting pictures of Our Lady depicted in her various titles and devotions via Instagram and using the hashtag Mother Mary Nola. The photos are also posting to our Facebook and Twitter pages. Follow us on Instagram at Archdiocese of NO and search the hashtag to find photos. Plus, you can participate by using the hashtag Mother Mary Nola too. Well, in 2000, local artist Michael Hunt was commissioned to paint a portrait of a special man and present it to him on behalf of the people of Louisiana. The man was Blessed John Paul II, and today Mr. Hunt is sharing his story through the gift to honor the legacy of the late Holy Father and Archbishop Phil and Hannon. Sarah sits down with more.
Well, thank you so much, Michael, for being with us tonight.
No, it's my pleasure.
And we're really excited about this project you're going to be working on with Archbishop Hannon High School. But I want you to give me some background. Tell me how the origins of this project began back in 2000 with U.S. Ambassador Lindy Boggs.
Well, I had known Lindy on a casual basis, on a personal basis, and we shared some mutual friends. So she was familiar with my artwork. And the discussion had come up that it would really be appropriate to have, something as a gift from the state of Louisiana that would be, given to the Holy Father, from the ambassador's office. And so in the course of conversation, she said, well, why don't you create a portrait, and she said, of Papa, and right. And I said, I was like, well, it's very intimidating because you've seen, so many spectacular pieces of art over the years that have been done, and I didn't know exactly what kind of spin that I would put on it. So I was honest. I said, look, I'd love to do it, but I'd like to do it from a very contemporary standpoint. And she says, well, he's a very big fan of contemporary art, of all art, and actually I did not know that at the time. I said, well, great, okay, let's do that. Well, the intent was really for it to be done and to hang permanently in the office of the ambassador in Rome. It was not, the original intent was not for it to be in the Vatican's personal art collection.
Oh, wow.
And so I worked on the art while everything was being lined up, and as you can imagine, it's very difficult, and everyone that was present, it's like, he's the most powerful man in the world, and so there's a lot of protocol and such that you
a lot of security,
oh,
a lot of
it's
protocol,
like security beyond belief.
A lot of people.
Oh, beyond belief. Yeah, it's unbelievable. So my wife and I traveled to Rome, and it was when we arrived that we learned that no, it was not going to be something that was simply going to be a presentation in that respect, but it was actually going to be presented to the Holy Father at a very large ceremony that was taking place in St. Peter's Square. So I think 70,000 people, were there in his regular dress. So then I was told that it would then be included in the permanent collection, of the Vatican. So that raised the bar much higher. Well, when we went, and I may be getting ahead of myself a little bit, but the piece is very large. First of all, it's deceiving when you look at it. The original piece is 40 by 60. It's a monumental size piece, and it was painted using a variety of different media, such as iridescent paints and golds and gold leafs and things such as that. Well, when the presentation was made, it was like what you would imagine. It was an unbelievable experience. It was an amazing experience, and.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you told me earlier when we were talking and meeting about the project, how surprised and appreciative the Holy Father was, and you got to spend more time than originally planned. I got to spend a considerable amount of time, actually, because during the presentation, there's always obviously people of some prominence that are there for whatever particular reason that they're there for, and so at the time. You could tell that he was ill, and he was. It was 2000.
Right, it was 2000, and so it was something that that you can tell it was difficult on him, and so when the opportunity came for me to do the presentation, and it's exactly what you would imagine. The pomp and circumstance of it, and when they brought the piece up along with the Swiss Guards and such. He really responded to it, and through a series of photographs, you can see the initial photographs of when I was brought up and the introduction was made, up to when he saw the piece and was intrigued by the piece, and then began the conversation with me about New Orleans, and in saying how much he loved his time in New Orleans. And so, it was a very personal experience, because you're so intimidated as it is. You cannot be intimidated. You've got 70,000 people that all eyes are on you, watching you do this.
The leader of 1.2 billion Catholics throughout the world.
Exactly. It does not get any more intimidating than that. And I laugh because you're waiting, outside, and I had sunglasses on, as many people do anyway, and I was so nervous when I went out. I think I had to take the sunglasses off. So I'm wearing the sunglasses. They're in front, and I can, the cardinals that were there were conversing with him, in either Latin or Italian, and I didn't know what was being said. Sure. But he stopped and, in essence, was saying, no, I want to learn more about this. And so we talked about what was the inspiration behind it, as far as the fact that it was a contemporary piece, and he told me how much he loved contemporary art. And he had given a very important letter that went out in 1999 that was an appeal to artists, that was correct. To how important it is to continue to do religious, faith-based pieces, and how that was a personal thing to him. And so he expressed how much he loved contemporary art. He expressed how much he enjoyed the piece itself, and what do the colors represent. And I told him, so well, the colors represent the fact that he's such the people's Pope, and that, I mean, known so much for his travels, and known so much for that every flag, in essence, represented by every different color that there was incorporated within that piece. And so that was the inspiration behind it, which he liked a lot.
I'm sure,
Now, so then it was obvious that my time was pretty much over, but he stopped again, and he blessed the piece, and gave my family a special blessing, and then he blessed rosary that I had, and it was
a very special time.
It was amazing. Yeah. I mean, where do you go from there? It's all downhill after that. Right?
Well, fast forward 13 years later to now.
13 years later, I know.
Very few people have ever seen this, because it is in the Vatican's personal collection.
Yes.
You are now making it available. And in the process of making this available to the people of New Orleans and beyond, you're going to be giving back to Archbishop Hannon High School as well. Tell us about that.
Right. Well, the idea was because so few people had seen the piece, and it wasn't something that was really publicized.
Sure.
So I wanted to reach a larger audience with it, and I didn't want to make it to where it was something to where, okay, here's a reproduction of the piece that is for sale. When the original was done, we took very detailed shots of it, so that, in essence, if it ever had to be reproduced, that we could do that. So we had those in file. We were able to reproduce the piece. And my position was, I want to give it away, which is very unorthodox. So I financed the production of 10,000 of the lithographs that are going to be given away to anybody that wants one.
You just need to go to your website.
They just need to go to the website. I mean, there's no way we can handle the phone calls because of the overwhelming amount of people, but all they have to do is go to the website and they can get one for free. Well, then the question came, well, it's very expensive to do framing and things along those lines, and we wanted to make that affordable for people. So I came up with an idea to do something really unique and special, and I have to give a lot of credit to Father Charlie over at Archbishop Hannon, because he had been inspired by some work that was being done in the community of various different artifacts and that were being done, contemporary work in the St. John's Bible. So he was showing me this, and he says, well, why don't you do a special mat and frame that would go around it, and it can pay tribute to the cornerstones of kind of his papacy, to certain things that we all know are the most important things that the Holy Father stood behind. And so those 4 cornerstones, quotes from him, were incorporated along with artwork featuring our Lord Jesus Christ and the Blessed Virgin Mary in a piece of stained glass. So having that idea to create that custom mat was actually a work of art in itself, and it was printed and it was made. I mean, it can never be reproduced. It's an original piece. So we took that, and I said, okay, what can we do? What's the most affordable we can make something like this available to the public, and how can a percentage of it go and benefit Archbishop Hannon High School? Because the Archbishop Philohan, the late, he was instrumental in bringing the Pope down, and in my conversation with the Holy Father, that it was specifically brought up his time in New Orleans. So it's a perfect, and it's taken 13 years for the right opportunity and time to come together to do it.
But I think it's a wonderful opportunity. You're going to be selling the specially framed mats for $125. $25 goes to Hannon.
Yes,
right.
It's the frame, the mat, the glass, and the free print will come in the frame if that's what you want. And then $25 of that is going to go directly to Archbishop Hannon
And they're doing extraordinary things.
Oh, it's
in their
amazing
new
what they're doing. What they're doing. I mean, and you know, I'd want to help even if my children weren't there, but my kids are there, and it was just the perfect thing to do.
Well, I want to thank you for making this available for the people of New Orleans, and again beyond. We want to make this national, global. We are looking at, you know, obviously the Pope has been beatified. We're looking perhaps towards a canonization in the near future. It'd be an extraordinary opportunity to take home a very unique and beautiful piece created by you for the Holy Father. And I know Father Charlie and everyone in the Hannon community are very excited about the possibilities and are very appreciative of your contribution to the school.
Oh, well, I'm thrilled. I'm happy to do it. It's a wonderful opportunity.
Well,
thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm happy to have you. You can come back again, maybe.
Great, thank you.
Well, Michael will join Archbishop Hannon High School Principal Father Charlie Latour tomorrow to formally announce the partnership. For more information, go to www.nolafineart.com or email popeprint@huntstudio.com. And we'll be right back.
The science of learning is an imperfect one, but Louisiana Catholic schools have consistently instituted a formula for success. An astonishing 95% of Catholic school students go on to college, and last year they brought with them over $185 million in scholarship awards. Shouldn't you invest in success and the confident leaders of tomorrow? Louisiana Catholic schools, in a class of their own.
Built more than a century and a half ago, a church in the Irish Channel has been welcoming people since its bricks were first laid. And although Mass is not said in the old church anymore, St. Alphonsus Church is still visited by the faithful and those amazed by its beauty. Janet Gross takes us to the special program honoring the history of the church and its community.
St. Alphonsus has been closed as a church for more than 3 decades. And for a while, vagrants were camping out inside this treasure. But 23 years ago, a group called the Friends of St. Alphonsus formed to reclaim the beauty and remember the history here.
This, of course, is the Irish church. This is St. Alphonsus. The church across the street is the German church, which is St. Mary's the Assumption. And a third church was built, Notre Dame de Bon Secours, down in Jackson Avenue, which was the French church. All three are Redemptorist churches.
Today, St. Alphonsus is open for tours and special events, like this Roots program, where they bring up the past and talk about the way things were.
And the Roots program is designed to bring the stories and the people of the Irish Channel to many people who used to live in the Irish Channel, to the community, people who are living here now, and then the public in general.
During these street brawls, at the end of the fights, they wouldn't go to hospitals if someone was roughed up. What they would do was call the local doctor, and they would go to the corner pharmacy store, and they would bandage them up and whatnot, and it was really a community effort.
They want to know and remember the history here, times and tragedies, personalities that played a part here and around this church, like a priest who served here in 1859, Father James Sheeran, a widower, single parent from up north, who gave his baby daughter to nuns and became a priest, then enlisted in the Confederate Army as a chaplain.
His letters weren't coming through to reach the priests here. So he decided, for the record, I better write down what I've been doing. Well, 1,600 pages later, he put the final period in his diary.
And of course, there is history in the walls and windows here. The restoration is slow and costly, but the beauty still so evident.
They're amazed that poor immigrants could raise the money to build such a beautiful church. And it was all because of the influence of Father Duffy and the Redemptorists and the Sisters of Mercy and the religion of the people. Religion was uppermost in their lives.
And during rainy weather, when the horses couldn't make it through the mud, the women would put bricks in their aprons and carry it from the barges nearby and help to build the church. So it really is a labor of love for the Irish.
There are still so many stories to uncover, so many memories of those who came and served here. An exhibit on display now helps with that.
The exhibit's called The Religious of St. Alphonsus, and I think in some ways it should be called The Memories of St. Alphonsus, because we really want to draw on the people's memories. We really, because before they go, or before they forget.
The Friends of St. Alphonsus don't want anyone to forget. That's why they're here, to preserve and protect what has passed by and through this old church. I'm Janet Gross for Issues in Faith.
St. Alphonsus is open for tours on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 10 until 2.
We never forget our best teachers, the ones who do so much more than teach. They inspire and insist we bring our best in everything we do. We find those mentors in our Catholic schools. It's why Catholic school graduates consistently go on to college, land better jobs, embrace faith, and lead. Louisiana Catholic Schools, in a class of their own.
Welcome back to Issues in Faith. If you have a question for us or have an idea for a story you'd like to see on air, write to us at Issues in Faith, 3330 North Causeway Boulevard, Suite 345, Mary, Louisiana, 70002, or email us at questions@wle.com. Plus, if you miss an episode, you can catch up online at www.archdiocese-no.org. And that's our program for this evening. For all of us at Issues in Faith, thanks for watching.
We'll be back next week. Hope you join us again soon. Until then, God bless.